I've come to Melbourne, really. I've come to Melbourne to catch up with yourself.
Thank you.
My son's mentor.
Well, you are in my circle of influence.
Yeah,
and I talk about circle of influence all the time. So I talk about Lou Christos being in my circle of influence. So hi, everyone. We are back again today. I have a dear guest here, being Lou Christos, the chairman of Interlink Insurance. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Massive surprise. Thank you for agreeing to come on today. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to today. But let's get into it. Interlink Insurance Brokers. You're the founder, you're the chairman, you are still the CEO?
No,
just
the chairman.
Just the chairman.
Director, yep.
Why insurance? Why not another industry?
Oh, my goodness gracious. My granddad had a restaurant in East Perth, and a European food restaurant. And from that point on, he used to service a lot of the banking finance sector for lunch.
Okay.
And a lot of the guys got my granddad, Johnny, and said, look, why don't you become an insurance agent? He'd come out to Australia in 1937, pre-war.
Yep.
His family hadn't come out. Eventually brought his wife and my mum and dad out. He became an insurance agent because he spoke English. He was able to deal with the local European community.
Yep.
So from that point on, he built up a bit of a portfolio of like a brokerage back in those days, a small agency.
Very small, yeah.
And look, there's a handful of clients. He passed away in 70, I got to get the year right, probably 73, 74. My dad's English was quite limited. He was a truck driver. He came out later in life, and he couldn't read and write fully. And then I was 13, 14 years of age. So I used to write these insurance letters, claims, handle claims, go to National General with Dad and speak to them and get all these claims through. And so I handled the family agency through Dad, or Dad managed it, and I just helped him with the English and the letters. And then I finished pretty well my schooling, and I wasn't really interested in school. I did my year 12, and I just wanted to surf and play with my car.
Very Perth.
Well, my two other brothers went on to university, law and physics.
Yep.
And one of them went on to Oxford. It's fantastic, but I wasn't really an academic to go through schooling.
You went through the School of Hard Knocks.
So I applied for my unemployment, and I was unemployed for about 5-6 weeks, and I received
I couldn't see you being unemployed.
I received a telegram from Telegram back in those days. You know, telegram turns up at my front door. You've got to go to apply for this job at Royal Insurance. I thought, oh, God, otherwise I'll lose my doll. So I thought, I better go in. So I've gone in for this interview. Literally, I've gone in with a shirt that was all creased up. I was smoking during the interview. I hadn't even washed it after working on my car. I didn't want the job. And this guy's looked at it, he thought, well, he's 17 years of age. He's had 4 years insurance experience for the family agency. And he said, when can you start? And I said, maybe in a month or two. I'm a bit busy right now. He worked me out pretty quickly. He laughed. He said, you be here Monday morning. And Monday morning I've gone in there and I've gone in for the old medical check and dropped the pants and cough. And the doctors used to do it was so funny, the doctors used to check you hadn't had hernia back in those days.
For 17?
17 years of age, I'm dropping my pants for their medical
medicals have changed. Medicals have definitely changed in this day and age.
Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I got the job and I didn't want it. Anyway, so I've gone in there and they put me in the mail room. I was there for 24 hours a day. I've gone straight in and I've said, I'm leaving. I said, I'm not going to be licking envelopes and sticking envelopes.
I don't really see you sort of doing that sort of work.
No, I wasn't interested. So I pretty well resigned. They said, hang on, we'll transfer you to another department. And they transferred me to this endorsement department of just writing these face sheets that get sent off for microfilming. So I did that for about 3 months, 4 months or so. And I said, this is not for me. I resigned. I said, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. I said, hang on a second. We'll put you in another claims department. And I said, okay. So
seems to be a pattern forming here.
So I went into the claims department. I did that for 3, 4, 5 months again. Same sort of thing. I said, this is bullshit. I'm not doing that. This is not me. You know, filling out, taking claim forms and reading policies. And I thought, I'm not interested. It's simple. It's easy stuff. It wasn't challenging for me. So they moved me again. They moved me to the front counter, the new business, and that was boring too because I was writing deals like no tomorrow. And I thought,
what was boring about that?
I want more. I'm not sitting at a counter.
Were you getting comms back then, or is it just were you getting commission?
No, we'll just trade salaries.
Okay, yeah, okay, yep.
And then I said, look, I need more. I'm just sitting at a counter waiting for someone to come to me. I want to go hunt myself.
Yep.
I just started to get the feel for sales. So at the age of 20, they stuck me in Northern, which is about 100 k's out of Perth.
I know Northern very well. I'm ex-Bindoon Ag.
I became the Northern manager, and then I ran probably about a 500-600 kilometre radius from Northern, sometimes a bit more, and I was servicing all the farmers, which was fantastic.
That really would have developed a lot of skill set for you, like dealing with farmers, because farmers are different to a lot of other sort of clientele.
And the thing is, what that job then enabled me to learn, I was not just actually helping them with their insurance portfolio, advising them. I was actually managing the claims for Royal Insurance. Back then, the farmer would have a blown over shed. I'd go out, I'd photograph it, put some report together, send it back to the claims manager at the head office, and they'd approve it based on my recommendation.
So you were doing a lot of the groundwork stuff yourself, because obviously you're in Northern
I had
Regional.
No assistant.
You were taking the photos, so you were, even from an early age, you were learning the basics of the insurance, not just selling the product. Yeah, okay.
Assessing, managing, dealing, all aspects. If I was the person, that was the only one there. I'd even have a dictaphone. It's really funny. I'd have a dictaphone, and I'd dictate all my notes for the day, and I'd put them in an envelope and send them back to Perth. And then 2 days later, they sent it back all typed up for me. Because I had no typewriter. I mean, I wouldn't be able to
I don't see you doing much typing.
No. So basically, they gave me, that was very actually sophisticated for its time.
Do you know I've never seen you use a computer? I've never seen you use a computer.
I use it a lot.
I've never seen you use it. I see you use your iPhone.
Oh, I know. I use a lot. I love my IT. Any new IT, any new software, any new ideas, I absorb them very quickly. I remember even when one day Trine was making... It was Trine, or to be Nadeem, the previous CEO. We went paperless and in the office, and everyone's going, "Oh, Lou won't accept that." They said, "Lou's the one who decided to go paperless back." It was many years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I went paperless, and I was going to share that a little bit with you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting story. That one, I said, "Look, less paper." I was going to meetings with boxes and trolleys.
The insurance industry does like a good printed document.
Yeah. The CEO at the time. He provided me with a couple of a Samsung sort of pad and a few bits and pieces, and I played around with it for about a week, and eventually got the iPad, and I played around with that overnight. And one night was entirely no sleep. Second night, no sleep. I was even waking up Trine, who was living with me at the time.
Yep.
Our current MD, my son, and I was waking up 2 o'clock in the morning. Come here. How does this work? How does that work? By the morning, this is like 48 hours of no sleep. I've called the CEO and I've said, we're going paperless from Monday morning. That was on a Friday.
Yep.
He laughed. He said, well, we can't just go paperless overnight. I said, why? We're going paperless from Monday. You're going to get all these iPads set up, and every broker goes paperless.
Well, it's the way forward. Like, it was
correct, and that was like many years back. But
the tech's so good now.
But I really do love technology, computers, a lot of software. Look, I've got every bloody app you can think of, on my phone. Seriously, Tavis, from when it comes to computerisation, I can turn off lights, air conditioning, open doors, cars, anything I can find.
We will get to your cars.
Anything I can find, I will download to whatever, my home, my holiday home, my cars, whatever I can do. I just don't want to carry anything with me.
Question I have for you. You've been in the insurance industry for many, many years. Many, many years. I don't think there's too many people in Australia with your skill set. How is technology basically streamlined and made the insurance industry more efficient in your eyes?
Look, it's made it more efficient, but it's probably not as effective and personal as it used to be.
Tell me more.
I think that, when you're dealing with people on paper and you're writing down and you're shuffling something on a desk, it's probably a bit more of a connection with the customer, where I think the connection's been lost, and I think that we need to bring back the 80s. In a way.
I do want to hear your 80s Perth stories.
Not with paper. I'm not saying bring paper back, but we've actually lost communication with customers where, I'll give you an example. We had one incident where one customer was quite angry. They got a hold of me and said, I'm not very happy. I said, what's the story? Oh, this hasn't happened. So I've got onto the broker who was managing in the office at the time. I said, have you followed this up? Oh, yes, I've done my job. I said, what do you mean you've done your job? This matter's not complete. So this individual showed me 40 emails that written to the customer saying, you need to sign this and send it back. I said, your job is not to follow it up. Your job is to get the job done.
Correct.
Sad. And that what I've realised is communication became, I've done my job, I've sent the email. It's not about sending something to a customer. It's about getting it completed. You know, jump in the car, go see them, give them a handshake, pat them on the shoulder, give them a hug, whatever you need to do, and get on with business.
So you think the modern insurance broker has lost that personalised element where back in the 80s in Perth, and you've told me some mad stories, that you know, it was about the car you drove. It was about how you went out and saw the client. You think as an industry, we've lost that, and now people are starting to send too many emails. They're just ticking boxes instead of servicing the client, because if the client isn't aware of what they're needing to sign, they're just assuming it's another form.
Yep, absolutely. That is actually what's happened. I still do quite a bit of business, you know, in insurance. I help out where I can, and I still make it very personal when I'm involved. I go see people.
Yep.
There's no phone. There's no Zoom. There's rubbish. Go see people, talk to them, take the time to speak to them. The deal is more effective.
How many deals do you think you've won over the years by going out and seeing the client?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. Absolutely. The people want to see. They want a tangible product. You know, they want to see the person they're dealing with. They want to hear them. They want to hear their passion. You know, my success has been around, I'm passionate about what I do, and I show that when I'm with them.
I have a question for you. What, in your eyes, makes the best insurance broker?
I mean, look, knowledge.
So they have to be knowledgeable?
Okay. No, I'm just summarising this. Knowledge and experience are very important. But I think what makes a good insurance broker is someone who cares, someone who's passionate about caring about or considering the client's needs. And I'll go on to a couple of other things. I used to go see clients, and this is an interesting one. This is something that, you know, Interlink use now for training all staff, and it's constantly repeated. I'd go out to meet a client, and they'd be assessing whether they want to deal with me. They'd be analysing, as in, is this the broker for us? Do we want to deal with him? Little did they know, I was actually analysing them, whether they were a fit for me. I didn't care about what they thought about me. It's about what I thought about them first and foremost. And the three things I always looked for in a client, and if all three boxes weren't ticked, I'd walk away.
Which are those? What are those boxes?
One, I want to serve them.
Okay.
Now, there's no point dealing with a dickhead. They'll just cause disruption. For me, the staff, I needed to want to serve them, as an individual. Secondly, yes, we've got to make a profit, and that's fair enough. We're transparent in what we make. We've still got to make a profit and pay our team and provide them with good service.
Yep.
And thirdly, to add value. If I actually had a client I wanted to serve and I could make lots of money, but if I couldn't add value, I'd walk away. I needed all three boxes to be ticked. Anyone, if I could add value and if I could make a lot of money and they were a dickhead, I'd walk away. All three had to be ticked every time.
So the juice is not worth the squeeze. The juice is not worth the squeeze, as in...
No, it's not about just churning over a client. I was looking for a relationship for long term, because what I've also learned, it's not about picking up the client for 1 or 2 years. I mean, picking up a client for 1 year, setting them up, getting them on the books, getting to know them, it's very costly. Getting a client on the books, as we know, can probably cost you fivefold to a rollover client. So I had to focus on the quality of the client, and they were my 3 boxes. I'd tick them off, and then the relationship would go forever.
Do you think that's one of the key elements why Interlink grew out of Perth and you're effectively now almost a national business?
Yep. Look, I agree. Yes, that would be probably one of the reasons.
Because your referrals are insane.
So going back to what makes a good broker, a good broker is someone who cares and is passionate and about the client's needs. To understand the client's needs. It's not about just going in there. And what I find, what I've seen, not just even brokers, but a lot of industry, people look at making money. It's not about money. It's about providing the service you've promised, and the money will flow by itself.
Explain that more to them.
First 4 or 5 years of business, I never looked at my P&L or monthly income ever. No.
Bullshit.
No, serious. I never wasn't even interested. End of the year, the accountant would say, "Oh, you've made a profit. Oh, fantastic." It wasn't my objective. My objective is about providing a solid base and building a business that provided a service that the people needed. Mm-hmm. That was all it was all about. And the money flowed simply because of that. It wasn't about, and what I find a lot of people out there, not just insurance, but generally, it's all about getting the deal and putting money in the bank. Well, that's great. It's very short-lived. I was looking
100%.
Yeah, I was looking at the long-term relationship. And with the clients, like even now that I've pretty well stepped out of the business, the day business, I had clients for 20, 30 years. I'm 30 and more. 30 years. I've still got some clients at Interlink that I personally attend to. They've been there for 39 years that we're in business. Is that 39? Goodness gracious,
time flies when you're having fun.
Yes. So, but with those clients have been with us all that time and still there because I analysed that they were a fit for me or for the business, that we could make money and were able to offer them value for their product or their business. There's no point taking on a business if you can't add value. What are you there for? They've given you the business because they're desperate, they've got no one else to use. You're going to lose it just as quick.
I couldn't agree more. A client that's a bit desperate for your services will drop you quicker than a hot brick if someone cheaper comes along. I totally get it. You need to find clients that value the service that you offer.
And look, the thing is, if a client does leave, you have clients that do leave. They do leave because you no longer can give them what they want. And that's okay. And that is really, it's honestly okay. Move on and do what you've got to do. They fall out of the fit range.
Yep.
And that's fine. And sometimes you've got to get rid of clients like that too. You've actually got to stand up and say to someone, look, we can't service you anymore for whatever reason. You need to push them out.
You taught me that, Ron. You taught me that, it's okay to sack a client.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing to sort of get your head around for the first time because this client could be paying you on time, paying you good money.
Yep.
But it's just the work to get the job across the line is thing. So when every industry is looking to attract new talent, I'm looking to attract new recruiters to the recruitment industry. You're looking the insurance industry is always looking to attract new trainees to the industry. With someone that hasn't got an experienced track record in insurance, what do you think are key skills or key attributes that a person looking to get into the insurance industry would be?
I think over the years I've employed a lot of people that have come from, literally a checkout girl at Coles suddenly became our claims manager, over the years. I look at their background, their family background.
Yep.
That's probably number one. And I don't mean to discriminate to people who don't have families, don't get me wrong.
No, that's fine.
But I look at their background and their upbringing and their morals and their religion as well to some extent. But I just look at their faith in life and people. And if they've got a good background, you've got a good ingredient. You've got a good foundation to then mould them to where you need. You get someone coming in and pushing their weight around from day one and they know it all, well, forget it. Just look for the quiet people, the ones who want a bit of a chance, that don't realise their potential. I love them. When they don't realise their own potential, you can open their eyes up very quickly. It's just a lot of individuals, and I've given people a chance. And look, a lot of them didn't work out, but I've always been one to give everyone a go. That was, as long as they look clean, tidy, were dressed and cared about their own appearance, they had the chance straight away with me. I can share one example.
I'd love that.
This is the best story of my whole career. I had a manager, office manager, he came in one day. He said, we got this letter in the mail from a young chap. He's Bosnian and he's looking for a job. And this letter, and I don't have the exact words, but the words were basically, look, I've come from Bosnia. His English was broken. He's looking for an opportunity. Would you please give me a job?
Love that.
I said to the manager, employ him now. He said, what do you mean? You haven't seen him. I said, give him the job. Get him on now. This guy wants to work. This guy wants an opportunity.
There's no plan B.
He is one of our senior brokers today.
I actually know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So how quickly, you can turn someone around, but the ingredient was he wanted to proceed with his life. He wanted growth. He wanted education. He wanted, a hand to pull him up. And I gave it to him. And I didn't even interview him. And he started that next Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. I just get him in right now. This guy's got the job. You can have 3 eyes, you can have 4 legs. I don't care. This guy's got the job.
I love that. When Interlink is a hugely successful brokerage business, and you should be very proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you. Yes, I am very proud.
It is a monster of a business. It has got a great internal structure and setup. When you stepped away from the business, how hard was that for you to shift your mindset? Because you've built it, it's your baby, you planted it, you grew it, you watered it, you cared for it, you brought in these 30-year clients, and then you decided that you wanted to start the next odyssey, the next chapter of your life, but then the mind shift that you had to go through to actually not walk away from Interlink, but change your role at Interlink.
Well, yes, and fantastic question. I really was hoping you'd raise something like that today.
Welcome.
It was difficult in my brain to accept it, but having my son step in, the 4th generation, you've got to remember, my granddad, my dad, me, and then my son stepped into what we grew the family agency through to. It wasn't that hard at all. Knowing that I took over from what Dad had sort of taken over from Granddad, and it was only small, and I built it. It wasn't that hard because knowing my son. Because don't forget, Tryon wasn't just here you're my son. You've become the managing director, and he has said to me many times. He said, Dad, if I find someone better than me, I'll step down. I said, absolutely. It's not about you being my son running the business. It's actually business that you need to run.
I personally don't think there's anyone better than trying to run Interlink. He bleeds Interlink. You cut him, he bleeds.
Yeah, but the thing is that I didn't step away leaving the business to an alien to run.
Nope.
I left the business to my son, which I trained at the dinner table from when he was 6 years of age. I would talk to my children about insurance and what I did and what risk and how brokers worked and how the income worked and and the career and the fun and the variety. I can constantly share that. And even when Tryon was about, and I can't think exactly, probably 12, 13, 14 years of age, he'd have his school holidays. I'd stick him in a little suit and I'd take him with me to meetings in boardrooms. Oh, I did, I'm serious.
Yeah.
But the reason I did that, then I'd take him out. Once we'd have the meeting, he'd fall asleep on the side of the chair there.
Not much has changed.
But then I'd get him up and we'd walk through the client's workshop, whether it be a boat builder, whether it be a meat manufacturing, whether it be an engineering workshop. He was getting exposed to a lot of this industry, a lot of this manufacturing, right from young age, 12, 13. So I didn't actually leave the business to an alien that I didn't know. I left the business to a family member to continue the journey.
You have other projects and other businesses to focus on. Did you not struggle, but when you hand the business to Tryon, now what? But you obviously had a plan in place, but there was you had no problem with just Interlink's done, it's in good hands, not trying to run things that you didn't need to run anymore. Also, another question for you, how did the staff go from reporting to you since day one, since they've been there, to now reporting to Tryon?
Well, happening in a couple of different stages where Tryon was young and he'd come to work and he'd always be late to work and just typical, 18-year-old and it was very frustrating for me knowing where I've been and what I've done.
He was pretty jacked back in the day as well.
And I try to keep calm as possible. But look, I appointed a CEO at the time. Intentionally, the CEO's role when I appointed him was to train Tryon, but be there as the face of the business as well. But his mandate for 5 years was to elevate Tryon to take over the business, period. Now, my step back was with the CEO. The CEO would be, I was still working in the business, but as a broker, basically. The running of the business was a CEO. Everyone had to report to him. That's when I transitioned people to stop talking to me. This is broken or that we need this. speak to the CEO. Can't help you. It's not my responsibility.
I'm just a broker these days.
So that was the beginning of the change then. So that was a transition for the staff. Some found it hard. They'd come to me and say, "Oh, but the CEO did that." I said, "Oh, well, that's interesting. If you'd like it or don't like it, speak to him. I can't help you." I never obviously stepped over the mark. I never undermined him or even trying, irrespective, right or wrong. So that was the beginning. So when the CEO's 5 years came up, Trine had was ready.
Yep.
It was a very expensive exercise to appoint a CEO to train my son, but that was the whole idea.
Expensive in what way?
Well,
money's one thing, but expensive.
Well, probably in money. Money was the biggest thing. I mean, if I would have loved to have trained him myself personally, but the situation, father, son, Dad's always wrong, and until the son turns 30, then Dad knew so much, or Dad's learnt so much in the last few years. So I thought, no, I won't fall into that trap where a lot of fathers brawl with their son unnecessarily. I stepped back, let the CEO run it. And I remember when Trine pretty well was about to take over, he said, "Dad," he actually had taken over 6 months ago. He said, "Dad, I think the CEO probably only did. I learned 50% from the CEO."
That's fair.
And I said, "No, you didn't. You learned 100%. He said, "No, I only learned 50%. I said, "No, you learned 50% what to do and 50% what not to do." He said, "Oh, got it." He learned everything from the CEO. Because he learned from his mistakes and he learned from his good decisions. But what Trine couldn't see at the time was that you make decisions in a business for that moment.
Correct.
They might not be right in 3 months or 6 months' time in hindsight, but at the time you make the decision, the best informed decision you can under those circumstances. So look, it's been good. So the transition back to that point, it was easy.
Okay.
And I've got a lot of other business interests outside of it. I just focused more on those, and off I went.
Did you find moving on from Interlink and focusing on your other business interests, you found the skills and the knowledge that you'd built, your odyssey, your life lessons within Interlink, and then applying them to your other businesses?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because insurance is quite a broad field.
Yep.
I mean, I was never a client's insurance broker.
No,
I was their broker, their legal advisor, their accountant. It's all mixed and rolled into one. Seriously, you're actually a business advisor.
Yep.
Because insurance rolls into financial risk, to physical risk, it's actually a big span. So you found that clients treated you more as a partner, not just as an insurance broker. So a lot of those skills were around, it could have been IT risk, it could have been around financial risk, as I said, property risk, human risk. It's a whole pile of areas. So all my other business interests, my insurance career fits in perfectly.
Yeah, these days you're obviously very much in consultancy advising. I mean, you're part of my personal circle of influence, and I'm very grateful to be able to call on your experience. When you're advising other clients, other companies, other families on how to structure wealth or how to structure a business or how to structure this, do you see common areas where other business owners potentially keep going wrong with the same area? Do you see a pattern of behaviour?
What I did see is a lot of people didn't understand that insurance isn't about buying a product and spending money. It's about progress. Insurance provides them to progress further. Without insurance, they can't go to handle a bigger project. The $10 million job falls over from a storm, earthquake, malicious, whatever. They've lost everything.
Correct.
So insurance provides progress. I was selling progress. That's how I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it that I'm providing their security and obviously peace of mind, but for them to progress their business and grow their business. A lot of people treated insurance or treated me in the early days as in, it's just a product, I've got to buy it because the bank wants me to have it and their customer wants them to have public liability and workers' comp.
Okay, so it's a tick and flick exercise.
But when I got into the nitty-gritty to show them that, hang on, there's more to this than just a tick and flick. This is about protecting your progress and your growth in your business. And then when I educate the client in that sense, they loved it. The partnership grew.
You know a lot of business owners through clients at Interlink, and you advise a lot of business owners to this day. What do you think makes this a successful entrepreneur or business owner?
Yes.
What are those core values?
They are all nutters.
Oh, we have to fucking drill into this.
No, let me explain this to you.
You have to come into this, sir. I'm being very diplomatic with this. Normally, I'm swearing at Lou left, right, and fucking centre.
No.
But we have to fucking go into this. Come on, I want to know they're all fucking crazy.
No, they are all people I dealt with. They're not normal. Now,
Okay.
I'm not saying it's bad.
No.
They're actually another level that people don't understand.
You've called me a nutter before.
And I'll give you. Well, I have. You're actually one of them.
I know.
And I'll give you an example. I took Tryon out. It was about 16, 17. Or he may have just started in the business. So he may have just started in the business. So I took him out to meet a handful of clients.
Yep.
And I see about 6 on the day. I think I took him out. End of the day, he said, "Dad, these people are all fucked up." I said, "What do you mean?" I knew what he was referring to. He said, "Well, that guy, he's hyper. That guy's got ADD. That guy's got OCD." I said, "Yeah, that's correct. That's why they're successful. These people need that energy level to survive. And I have that energy level."
Yep.
And I would meet people with that energy level and they'd see me in the eyes and I'd see it in their eyes and we'd connect very quickly. They knew and I knew that we're one. And we would do business. Now, the people that weren't like that, it was very hard for me to do business with because I'm full on. I'm full on, Tavis.
I know you're full on just by your car collection, sir. I love your car collection. But, you have some beautiful, beautiful vehicles. And they all have a significant piece in your life. I know you're full on, sir.
Yeah. So what I find is, we'll go back to the clients and Tryon's summary of it all was quite interesting. His experience, he said, "Dad, they're all just full on." I said, "Correct. They're not bad people." When I say
no, they're not bad.
When I say nutters, they're not, they're not fools. They're very intelligent people, high-level people that they don't want to waste time. They want to get on with the job. They need people to help them. And I was connecting with them very quickly and I knew what they wanted because I'm actually one of them. And it was easy to deal with. Like they would say, "I need this done. I'd do it today." Like I do it within the minute. And then they'd say, "Thanks for that." And I go, "Sorry, it took so long." That's life. You
mention a period in Perth growth of the 80s. Some people call it the Bond period, the Bondy period, America's Cup. And you mentioned that brokers of today, you need to be more personal like they were back in the day, right?
Yep.
How do you think, obviously, this is technology is a great thing, but what lessons did you learn from the 80s that really apply to today's modern insurance broker or modern entrepreneur?
The 80s were party time. There's no doubt. 80s were lunch, booze from 12 to 5 and stagger home and you're in a cab at 5, 6 o'clock at night and you don't even remember what happened. They were party days. But that is a lesson because now you still apply that, but you're not going out for the big lunches and the boozers, but you're having a coffee, a sandwich or breakfast with a client that's cost effective for everyone. The wallet, but also time effective. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go to a lunch and you're there for 4 hours. What a waste of an afternoon, really.
Oh, fuck you. I only lunch very rarely.
Unless it's something real special occasion, it's your special birthday and you want a few mates, that's fine. But but taking a client out and having a breakfast, which will take probably 30, 40 minutes, bacon, eggs, whatever it may be. It's a quick meal and you have a chat. It's personal and it's very actually connecting. You're eating with someone, fondling your food. And
so you really feel like you're making that connection where the client is starting to, because insurance is about risk and you need to understand what the client's issues are around their risk profile and obviously tailoring a product to that situation because every insurance coverage is different. So you feel going out, having that coffee, having breakfast with them, having that meeting, understanding that client and then turning that client into a 30, 40 year client is and that's what's missing today with a lot of sales processes.
Yeah, it's the connection. The connection's missing. A lot of it is just tick and flick, which is really sad.
I would love to know how you go about buying a car because I reckon you would control it from, the point of sale. It's walking onto the lot, buying the car and walking off the lot, and the dealer would have no fucking idea what's just happened.
That's probably exactly the summary. That's how it would work.
Yeah, I just think that the sales, philosophy so well that, anyone trying to sell to you, Jesus Christ, it would be an interesting thing.
Look, I'm actually, I was going to go back to the insurance broking. I just want to go back to that a bit.
Yeah. That's why I ask these questions to sort of...
Yeah. A lot of the brokers that I find, and even the older guys, have actually just dropped the ball a bit.
In what way?
Well, the tick and flick and the electronic process seems to be an easier way.
Correct.
But it's actually more consuming because you're missing the finer points of what the client really needs. Looking at someone or writing them an email saying, what do you want, are two different things. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can look at you in the eye and say, Tavis, what do you want? What sort of service do you want me to provide?
I want to be able to sleep well at night knowing that my insurance is in place.
But your facial expressions have actually told me exactly what you want.
Yep.
Whereas on an email, it's all lost. And I'll give you a good example how emails, well, I realised emails were just dangerous. There was a period where I've got a property partner, my accountant, we've got a series of properties and things we do together. And we're very, very close. We've known each other since we're 8 years of age. So
I'm well aware.
And I sent him an email. He sent me an email one day, and he said, what colour do you want to paint the door? And I wrote back and I said, whatever you want. Whatever you want. So he calls me up. He said, what's wrong? I said, nothing. He said, what are you upset about? I said, I'm not upset about anything. What's the problem? He said, you said to me, whatever you want. No. I meant whatever you want. So it lost its expression. So the email totally lost. And I realised then that emails are not good for anyone.
Nope.
They're good just
summary.
to confirm. They're good to confirm information. They're good to confirm an appointment. But if you're going to get into the detail, you need to meet face-to-face with people. Now, I'm not saying you have meetings all day long. People got better things to do.
No,
but the occasional meeting to get the expression and absolute clarity around the instruction is very important.
So you feel that's what's missing with the modern insurance broker today? It's all tick and flick. It's all email. They're missing that personal element and creating a potential issue for the whole insurance industry by mis-selling insurance products because they don't understand what the fucking client
Well, the customer's not understanding it. And I think what's happened now with electronic, I sent you the policy wording tab, you need to read it. I think what I would prefer to do is go through the policy myself, understand the major points that could be of interest to you and sit down and say, look, here's your policy. I've got to give it to you by law. But these are the main points that I see that could be, items that you need to consider differently. Because there's a lot of exclusions and conditions in policies.
Well,
but a broker would just handball it. I've sent the policy to you. You should read it. Not my problem anymore. Well, that's not where it should be.
You've got many, many stories with insurance. Where's the story where you've sold a product, you've identified a client's need, you've sold the product, and the client's then utilised that insurance product and was actually thankful that you saved their ass?
I've got a beauty. The best one in history. Best one at all. When I first started, I thought, I need to specialise in some sort of industry.
Fair enough.
So I looked through the yellow pages back in those days, if they even exist today. So I went through the yellow pages and I was flicking through all different occupations and I thought, engineering, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So I started writing out letters. I'm a specialist in engineering and I want to, and I would love to look after your insurances. And I grew and I grew and I grew in engineering. And one client led to the next because they all knew each other and it grew considerably. In specialising in engineering back in the 80s, 90s and 2000, I looked through and identified there was an exposure for these engineers that they were building or constructing a particular piece of steel, whether it be a tank or whether it be a rail line, carts. They were assuming the design component, even though they were externally getting an engineer to design the cart or the tank. But their contract with their customer was design and construct. So if this engineer packed up their business or didn't have insurance or went broke or whatever happened, they're still left with the cart,
and
so
the
to
liability.
speak. So I worked this product out. I thought it's not a really expensive product. So I got onto all my clients and I was saying, look, you really do need a backup professional indemnity insurance should the engineer's insurance fail. At the time, one client took it. One.
Out of all of them?
Out of all of them. If all of them took it after this incident that occurred, one client out of 100 took it. They took the advice. And they are probably my most favourite client of all, and still today, and best of friends. They took the product, and you wouldn't believe it. They built some carts that were carrying some acids. The valves on the carts failed, and the structure was cracking. The claim started out at $1 million. It was Western Mining back in those days, in the 90s.
WMC, before being BHP.
WMC, yep.
Yeah.
And so they put the claim into the client and said, well, it's a design error. So my client's gone off to the engineers, and the engineer said, oh, God, we forgot to renew our insurance. So the engineers packed up their business and did a runner. They got no money. WMC are saying, well, you don't care who your engineers are, it's a design and construct contract with you. So the policy I provided to them was the backup. Thank goodness. The claim went from 1 million to 2 million because the insurance company said, we want to get our own, another company to rectify this, not you. You guys want, 800,000, we can get it done for 700,000 or whatever it be. Anyway, the lawyers managed it and effed it up, so the claim went to 2 million because it got worse. Eventually, the claim ended up at $5 million. My client's limit of cover was $5 million. To add to this major problem, it was FAI who went broke.
Oh shit!
The insurance company went broke in all those years. So this claim went on. This claim went on a number of years. So FAI now have gone broke. Goodness gracious. Luckily, our client at the time, they fell into the category of under 100 employees, whatever it was, and so the government picked up the tab and paid the 4.9 million, and the client was off the hook. But that was an example of an exposure that no one had looked at or considered, and then every other client, and I'm sure it's industry practice now, irrelevant, that they need the backup cover. And that was a great success story of my career. So absolutely, I really enjoyed being able to identify a risk that no one had even thought of.
I guess that's one of the benefits of your industry service is you look at ways of value adding, not just adding for the sake of adding, but just adding value to a policy or adding value to a transaction where the client is...
I was always looking at the client's business. I wasn't selling them a product.
Yep.
I was looking at what their business needed. I was analysing what their business particularly needed and then making sure I sought a product or tailored a product to suit those needs.
And you think that's potentially missing from the modern insurance broker?
No, I think modern insurance brokers are doing that. They are thinking, but not to the attention to detail. That's why you need to physically see them. Irrespective of the size of the client. I think brokers or most people in business, in any business, if there's not big money in it, they're probably not going to go do the visitation. I think that's irrelevant of the size of the client. If you're providing a service, you provide the service 100%. Otherwise, don't take on the client. So it comes back down to the three core tick boxes: making money, adding value, and wanting to serve them. You've got to actually have them all in there. So if you're not going to make money, don't take on the business by not seeing them to take a shortcut to make money, try and make money.
Do you feel that brokers, because I look at brokers as entrepreneurs, like it's a business within a business. Your desk, base salaries are okay, but you need to bring in business to things. Do you think it's important for brokers to have mentors and a circle of influence? Because
absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely, and brokers do have it. The industry does have something like that. They've got business mentors where they encourage people to have be a mentor for a junior.
What's a great lesson that you learnt from one of your mentors?
Respect.
Tell me more.
I was at Royal Insurance. I was there for a week, and my boss at the time, he was retiring that week. He said, he's telling me he's retiring. Anyway, I called him Gordon.
Yep.
Instead of Mr. Lyon.
Oh, shit.
I got the biggest slap across my ear. And he said, "You will call me Mr. Lyon until I advise otherwise." That was an absolute rude awakening of respect for me. I thought, goodness gracious, what was I thinking? This is the problem we have today with the younger generation. The lack of respect has really been lost, in my opinion.
Mm. To the detriment of the industry?
Yes, to an extent. Mm-hmm. It's real buddy, chummy.
Yeah, especially.
It's out of control. But I wanted to instill respect. Because people should respect their boss. They should respect their seniors. It's all lost. Seriously, Tavis, it's all lost. It's sad.
Yeah. I just thinking in my own odyssey within business ownership, it is lost, but I guess we have to adapt. And I just think with AI coming in and everything, we are losing the art of the deal. And the art
of the deal, the art of respect, it's all becoming shorter and quicker. No contact, all email, tick and flick. We're actually losing our job because eventually artificial intelligence will take over.
You reckon?
Because we're allowing it to happen. We're encouraging people not to have personal communication, tick and flick, get the money in, doesn't matter, just get it all in. It's not effective. You're not going to make money. You'll make money on a deal and it'll leave you just as quick. Yep. We're having a solid client, you'll make a bigger bottom line at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And the other thing too, which I think that with the tick and flick, you're actually not just not providing the client with a service, you're providing them with a product. They can buy that themselves.
Yeah, and that's... Yeah.
If you're not analysing, so back to the product again, sorry, but if you're not analysing the people's needs or listening to what they want, and what they want is not what you actually might give them either. You'll advise them differently, but you need to listen to them. By not listening to them, you're just flicking a product. Well, they can just buy that through the internet one day, through AI. That's what's going to happen. It'll disappear.
Do you think...
It won't be a good product, but...
No. Do you think the modern broker needs to be a better listener?
Absolutely.
And be present?
Yes.
And that's what they're missing?
Yes. And I think I'm not thinking about brokers. I think about every business.
Tell me more.
It's the same. Irrespective of what product you're selling or what service you're providing, you need to have that connection. You must have the connection with the customer. Now, it doesn't have to be a personal connection where you're out with them on the weekend on the boat and fishing with them every day. I'm talking about actually meeting them and listening to them and understanding them and getting their expression, getting their body language, getting their facial expressions and analysing what they particularly want. Because someone on email could say, I need this, but they probably don't mean that. I've learned the client, I listen to people. It's not what they're telling you they want.
It's not what they're not telling you.
Yeah, correct. But you're not going to get that on an email or a tick and flick.
Do you think there's a level of pride with a business owner or a manager where they don't want to tell you the big problem?
But that's why you meet them, to build up their confidence so they can talk to you.
Okay. So you think one of the skills that you've learned is becoming a better listener? Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, well, better listener, but also at the time you can show them that you're passionate, that you care, and give me the data or give me the information that you need or that you have bottled up so I can deal with it. Let me take that away from you. And one of the key things why I would see a client and I'd say, you need someone like me or a broker, or a service provider, irrespective of insurance. Insurance is just the product that we have.
It's different.
But we're talking about service here, any industry.
100%.
You give me the problem, you make the phone call, it takes you 1 minute. I go away, I do the work for 4 hours, I come back and give you 1 minute solution, done. You've spent 2 minutes, I've spent 4 hours and 2 minutes. That's my job. So my philosophy is around making it easy as possible for my customer. They spend less amount of time rather than having to run around themselves. But they need to appoint the right guy for the job as well. But that goes back to my 3 core principles again. You know, can I add value? If I can't add value, what's the point of me being there? My value is I need to be able to resolve every problem you have. If I can't resolve your problem because of your industry or your wants or the specifics about your business, what am I doing there? Get the hell out.
Do you think businesses fail because the founder or the managing director doesn't have a big enough vision for that business? See, I bet you when you started Interlink, you knew it was going to be as big as it was.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You knew it from day one.
Absolutely. 100%. The dream was right back from 1986, 87. That was going to happen, period.
Did it happen as quick as you thought it was going to happen?
I wasn't really putting a time frame on it.
Yep, okay.
It was just more, I just worked. I just worked and enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the journey. It wasn't about the money. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed looking after people. I enjoyed meeting people. I met some beautiful people through the process and still do, but you know, I really, really enjoy meeting the people.
When you were growing Interlink back in the 80s into the 90s, what did you look for in staff? Not necessarily brokers, but you know, you were growing, you know, you came out of the shared office space. What were you looking for in staff to bring on board? Was it particular just a set of skill set? Was it the way they presented themselves? What was your, yes, I want that person?
I suppose their presentation was first and foremost for me.
Yep, okay.
You know, if they cared about their appearance, well, they're probably halfway there.
Okay.
And then I'd look, as I said earlier, I'd probably look at their background.
Okay.
You know, if they've been through, you know, difficult times of their life, maybe it wasn't probably right for me if they're still going through some tough times in their life.
Yep.
I was looking for stable people. You know, family-orientated people more so.
Yep.
People who've had a good upbringing. Whether they had one parent only, it's irrelevant. Yes. But I was looking for someone who had a good upbringing, good moral standards. That would be the key thing for me, because learning to sell or learning a product is simple. It's easy to teach that.
Yep.
They've got to have the core
desire,
foundation, and the desire correct. Then the rest is easy.
When did you find you were bringing on staff? Did you find it was too, because your skill set is, you know, you've got this core value, core drive, core philosophy on developing clients, right? Did you struggle instilling that in your brokers at Interlink in the early days?
No, I did that through by leading by example.
Yep.
I was actually leading and I was showing what I did, and they just followed. Did
they struggle to follow? Did they struggle to follow you?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really, because they had the core ingredient. They had the foundations. They just needed to be shown the way.
Okay. When was the point that you knew you were onto a winning formula with Interlink? Like it was just you, and it was you and Lucy, then you had some brokers on board.
Oh, day one, first year.
So what you're saying is you're backing yourself, and self-belief is so important.
Yeah, day one, absolutely. I'll share it. I started the first day, and how Interlink started, can I just share that a bit?
Of course you can, sir.
And how Interlink started, I had a client, I used to work for a broking firm. He listed a public company, and I think he settled about $4 million back in 1985, which was a lot of money back then.
Jesus.
And I went to see him. I was really happy that he floated the company, and fantastic.
Yep.
And he said, we'll start an insurance company. And I laughed. I said, we're not going to start an insurance company. 4 million probably won't get you going. You need a bit more than that. He said, we'll start a broking firm. I said, yeah. I said, you need about 200,000 to even just kick it off, you know, by the time you get things underway. He pulled out his checkbook out of his drawer, wrote out a cheque for $200,000 to me personally, and chucked it over the counter. He said, let's get going. I said, well, how's that going to work? He said, well, you have 20%, my lawyer will have 20%, my accountant will have 20%, and me and my partner here will have 20% each, is 100%, and off you go. I said, where'll I operate from? He said, from that little workshop, the little front office at the workshop. Happy days.
Yep.
And I remember getting to the office on the first on a Monday morning on the 6th of January, 1986. I looked at this desk. I only had the desk for the morning. I had to get out of that office. It was a shared office.
So someone else used it in the afternoon?
It was a shared desk, yeah. So I had to be there in the morning. By 12 o'clock, I had to pack up and get out of there. And I had this receptionist answering the phone as mine site spares, nothing to do with Interlink. And they go, Lou Christos? Oh, yeah, I'll put you through. And so I had a shared office, shared computer.
Shared phone number. I love it.
Oh, I had no money. But the money we put up was basically for our licensing and preparation and getting a vehicle and bits and pieces. And anyway, so we... but from about a month onwards, I thought, hang on a second. I had no idea where I was going to start. But once I got going, within about a month, I thought, no. I took over that office. I basically kicked everyone out, asked the company to give me the whole office, and that's when I started employing people. By year one, I had a couple of staff, and then it grew from that point on. And I had probably from a month onward, I knew what I was doing, where I was going.
Do you always have self-belief in what you wanted to do?
Oh, absolutely.
So you think that's, when you break down to it, having self-belief in yourself is like the core?
Nothing is impossible. Yep. Nothing is impossible. Seriously, nothing. What's impossible? Everything can be achieved just through time and focus and passion. I mean, if you're not passionate about doing something, you're not going to succeed. You've got to want to do it.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from a mistake, a fuck up, something that I won't do that again?
I can't really think of anything to sort of answer on that one, Tavis.
I love that.
There's been a lot of education along the way. But
what's an education piece that you've gone, you know what, probably that wasn't such a great idea?
Look, sometimes clients leave and you get a bit frustrated. That's probably, and you might say
take it quite personally.
In the early days, you take it personal, but I've just learned to say, you know what, the fit fell out. It's fine. It's okay, and stay in touch with them, and they do come back.
Yep,
that's one thing I have learned is they all come back.
So what you're trying to say is stick to your core values of what you do with the company you operate. If a client falls out of that fit for purpose, it's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Why isn't it okay?
I think I haven't got a problem with it, but a lot of people take it personally.
And I used to take it a little bit personal, and that's when I've learned from that. Why take it personal? It's okay. They can move on. They feel there's time for a change. Let them have a change. Let them have a change. See if this grass is greener. If it's not, they come back pretty quickly. And what I've learned that once they leave it for a couple of years. Reach out to them. Stay in touch. Hi, how you going? And shit, I'm glad you rang, Lou. Can you come and see us?
What's the common theme you see with clients coming back to you? Whether you reach out to them to say, hey, what's going on, versus them coming back to you. What's the common theme, a thread that you see with that?
Lack of service.
Okay, so that's lack of service. So they've moved to a new broker because of price or a promise or a certain product.
Yep.
And it hasn't eventuated. And it's cost them money, frustration, and they miss that Interlink just had our back.
Yep. And that's a key point in any business. Provide your client with the best of service. They will never leave you, and if they do, they will come back. So building your business model around service is the success for your business.
Who taught you that?
Just on the ground myself.
Okay, so your background, your skill set, you're noticing what other companies weren't doing?
Yeah, other companies were providing, we'll charge you less as a broker on a broker fee and we'll do the deal for you. And people were lured to money thinking, great, and we'll provide you with all this service. But again, you can't provide a service unless you're getting paid for it. So they'd get the money in, it's very short, very tight, and they wouldn't provide the service to the client. Where back to my 3 points again, Tavis. I have to earn money. If I earn money, I'm going to give them a great service. I can add value. If I can't add value, I'll get out. So it's all, those three things all keep coming back. Making sure you're providing the client with the service. Now, if the client doesn't want a service and they want a real cheap broker, well, I'm not the broker for them. There's no fit. So I move on.
Horses for courses.
Absolutely. There's people that don't, but the problem with business people that don't pay for a good service provider, they're actually in a worse position.
Tell me more.
Well, if you haven't got the broker who's insurance or any product, but let's go back and stick with insurance, of course, but if you haven't got the broker being part of the business, not understanding the business, how's he going to pick up all your risks? The broker's got to understand the business and be part of the business. You actually partner with the business. You're not just a provider. You actually become a partner within the business.
We've spoken heavily about Interlink.
Yep.
In its growth trajectory, and it's still growing, and it's in very good hands with Try and your son. What I'd like to speak to you now is a bit of a few of your passion projects that you have done post Interlink. I'd love to talk to you about your interest in electric vehicles and what you do with them around Australia.
Oh, well, look, I got my first electric vehicle about 5 years ago, and I remember buying it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I bought it, it was the Mercedes electric, and at the time Tesla were in town, and I was wanting to get the big Tesla, I think it was the S or whatever the model was. I wanted to get that, but they had no service provider in Perth at the time. I thought, I remember ringing Sydney and we can get the car across to you, and I sort of talked to the guy. He said, it breaks down, what do I do? He goes, we'll send you to a local electrician. I thought, too hard. I backed off. Mercedes brought out the first model. I was actually, I think, number one client to get their first car. I was very happy about that. And
you've had a few Mercs.
I would see an electric car on the road maybe at the time. Luckily, would be once a month, if that. I'd see a Tesla, if that. And I remember everyone saying to me, you're full bloody rubbish and carrying on.
I thought it was just a whim of yours. Chuck one in the collection and just have a bit of fun with it.
Look, there's a place for electric cars. There is a place for them. They're not the answer to all, of course. But it's like a diesel and a petrol car. There's different purposes. And same with electric. It just fits a different purpose. Okay. So I get after that, I was really having fun with the electric car and charging it up and overnight and zipping around. It was quiet and quick. I mean, it's quick as a bloody Porsche. It's fantastic. But then the BYD model came out, looked at it, and I thought, from tax perspective, there's some real benefits in getting it.
Correct.
So I thought I'll get one and I'll play around with it. And I thought, I might drive to Adelaide and back in an electric car. Now, there's no charging state or supercharging stations back in those days. It was pretty limited. There's 3-phase plugs and 15-amp plugs. So I thought, I'll do that. But, to my advantage, I end up buying a rectifier which converts 3-phase power, 7 kilowatt to 20 kilowatt. It converts it to DC power, AC to DC. And I studied a lot about electric cars at the time, so I pretty well know I'm back to front. And so this rectifier cost me like 15 grand to buy anyway, and the back of the car was 50 kilos. But, hey, it made life a lot quicker to charge at destinations.
Man, how was it slow with the 50 kilos in the back of it?
Oh, no, but I had all my gear as well. No, the car was fine. I actually probably had... probably a few hundred, probably 200. I think I was at the limit of the car. I probably had 200-300 kilo in the car. I had clothes, I had tools, I had all sorts of stuff. He'd had to take a spare tyre because they don't come with a spare. So I took a full-on spare, put it behind the seat of the car, the front seat. I took a lot of stuff, and I went to Adelaide and back, and that was really good challenge. It was actually hard. I thought, I like this. So on the way back, I'm planning my next trip around Australia, the whole coastal lap in an electric vehicle. Surely enough, a year later, I got rid of the Atto. I bought the BYD Seal, the sedan, and stacked that up again with a rectifier and another 300-400 kilos in the car. I did the whole coastal lap in an electric car. The biggest challenges were north of WA and Northern Territory. Wow. It was hard finding charging points, and there was a lot of risky areas out there that were just difficult to deal with. But, mate, look, it's fantastic. The takeaway for me from doing that, people said to me, "Whoa, what did you do it for?" I said, "Well, for experience." "What did you learn?" I learned a lot about myself.
Such as?
Well, I knew I never say die. I mean, give me a challenge and you've just woken me up.
Yeah, okay.
So
you took the same challenges with Interlink and you took it into, okay, I love that.
So, and Trine actually asked me, said, what did you learn from that? And I said, it's like running a business. Every day waking up with a different problem and you had to resolve it because there's no one out there to help you. You ain't got power. You're fucked. You've got a problem with the wheels. You need to repair them. But every day was a major challenge. An example, there was one point where one of the charging points were broken that I relied on. I thought, okay, but I mapped out the whole trip, literally from A to B to C to how many kilometres, how long it'll take me, what the charging point was, how long I'd sit there to charge for. I'd mapped out the whole trip of every part of Australia. So I get to one point, there's no power. Okay, plan B. Go to plan B, it's okay. Go to plan B, the power point down to the football oval down in Cloncurry.
You mapped it out that much that you actually knew where power points were on the trip.
And then backup power points if the main power point wasn't working. Absolutely. I'd made phone calls. I'd decked it out completely on a spreadsheet. So anyway, I get down to, I was at Cloncurry. I'm pretty sure it was Cloncurry. No, sorry, it was Hewenden. I apologise, in Queensland. I pulled up, went to charge, no power. This charger was broken. It was actually a charger, Queensland charger. I thought, oh shit, okay, plan B. There's a 3-phase power point down at the oval. Went down to the oval, plugged the car in. Some ladies walked out saying, what are you doing? I said, I'm charging my car. She said, no, you're not, love. And I said, what's wrong with charging? She said, we've got no power here. I said, what? She said, what do you mean you've got no power? She goes, the town's been down for 2 days. I said, oh. I said, when's the power coming on? She said, oh, we expect another 2 days. So now I'm taking out my tent, getting my air mattress ready, thinking, well, I'm going to be here for 2 days. What do? There's no power. But I remember seeing an IGA up there and it was open. So I went up to the IGA and the fridges were running, but the fridges were dedicated. The power was only dedicated to the fridges, so I couldn't connect them. So I bought some,
bits
food, ham, just to obviously last me for a couple of days. And so as I was driving back, I saw a Liberty fuel station with a spotlight on it. I thought, hang on a second. Liberty with a spotlight on the top of the roof. That's not right. They're open. So I've pulled in. There's a real rundown station. I actually dropped past them on this last trip too, funny enough, to say hello to them. And a couple of old ladies there, and I said, look, you've got a spotlight on the roof and there's no power in the town? Oh, yes, we've got a 30 kilowatt solar system at the backyard. Bingo. So I plugged in there for a few hours, got enough power to move on. But it was actually a challenge. It sounds easy now that I'm telling you, but at the time you're going, oh, this is fucked. I need to find a solution. And then you find the solution. But the best thing is I had to run, and same with this Hewenden run, I had to do 478 kilometres. The car can do 525 on a good day. So you've got to keep your speed low. Don't put your foot down too much. But I've done 100 Ks into this 478 kilometre run to the next charge point. I've used 25% power. Mathematically, I'm not going to make it.
Nope.
Problem. So I pulled on the side of the road. I'm doing my numbers thinking, this is not right. What do I do? I've got to turn back. The reason I wasn't going to do the distance is because I had a headwind of 40 kilometres. Okay. It was a really hot day, so the car's actually trying to cool itself even more. And the road surface was very rough, so I didn't have the momentum on the wheels.
Okay.
With a lot of friction, a lot of grabbing. I thought, oh, bugger. And then I saw this big truck go past. I thought of the Olympics. I thought, hang on a second. Why don't I tailgate this truck to see what sort of drag I get out of it? Because the track, the streamline. So I pulled into behind the truck. I thought I'll do 50 Ks because I've got enough to get back. Yeah. 50 Ks later, I'm probably lucky I've done 10% fuel use. Keep going. And I did. I went all the way through to Camberwell.
Yep.
And I got in there and I had 21% battery. So they're the challenges. I know it sounds... but
No, I get that. I'd love that you've calculated it all.
I was getting the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of challenge.
You've used resilience.
It was fantastic.
You must have met some interesting people on these odysseys of yours, EV odysseys.
Many. And they all stand out in their own way. But the last trip that I've just completed...
The one you're on at the moment.
Why I'm sitting here in Melbourne now is I thought, when I did the lap, I thought, what's my next challenge? I thought, you know what? Why don't I get an electric car and go straight through the desert?
Okay. Perth. What have you done it in this one?
This one, I've got the BYD Shark Ute, which is an electric car with a built-in generator, which is a fuel. So it gives you the option of both. So there's not much... And out there, it's probably a bit limited out in the desert. But I thought, I want to do the desert run, corrugated road. It was actually really interesting going right through the centre of Australia, and I went from Perth through to Uluru, and then up to Alice, straight up through to Cairns.
Yep.
And they went north of Cairns as well on the Bloomfield track.
Great.
And this all-wheel drive BYD has just been amazing. But I had a slider put on the back of the tub, electric slider, and that, because of the corrugation, even my fillings have probably fallen out. I need to go check them when I get back. The corrugation was solid for 7-8 days. It was hard. It was hard, literally. But, every day. On the third day, I probably wanted to turn back, but I thought, well,
you got to turn back to do the
3 days back, 3 days forward. I just shut up and keep going. It got a bit hard, and as you got towards the end of the first stage, there was more and more cars broken down. I could see that people were failing the journey as you came closer to the end, and even to the last 300 k's before the end, I've never seen that many cars stacked up in my life.
And they stack them up.
Thousands of cars, because they've all come to that point and they're broken down.
And they can't recover them. Okay.
But this aftermarket canopy, which BYD put on, was a bit of a shitty product. Anyway, it all fell apart. All bolts sheared off. The whole thing was just hanging off the back. And luckily, I don't know what possessed me, but I took 10 ratchet straps with me. I don't know why I would take so many, but I had them all in the car. Luckily, I tied the car down and I kept going. I got to Yulara, and I rang up head to Alice Springs, and I was just ringing mechanics, someone that could help me.
Yep.
Now, the option I had is either try to refit it, find some bolts, or just rip it off and put a canvas cover over it. Unfortunately, when I was driving through the desert, because I couldn't shut the slider anymore, dust was going into all my gear in the back. It was just a mess. But hey, it's only dust. It can all be washed off. Anyway, I found this young lady, she's this daughter of this guy. I said, yeah, come in on next Wednesday. So I've got in there Tuesday early to see if they can look at the car early to get some parts, because I didn't want to stay there too long, because my journey's now sort of slowed down because of the breakdown. Anyway, the guy comes, I met the guy, 73 years of age. He said, look, my son's away, my mechanic's on annual leave, and one guy just left. It's just me. It's very hard for me to do the job on my own. He said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, well, nothing. He said, well, you hired. Okay. So now I'm working for a mechanical shop, working on my own car. So I've got there 8 o'clock. We worked there from 8 to 4 p.m. on this car. Put it all back together, actually. He'd never done anything on this particular job.
I wouldn't think there'd be too many BYD electric four-wheel drives in the area.
But he's actually pulled this thing apart, used his forklift. We got it off, found some bolts. Funny enough, screws, there was a set of screws we needed we couldn't find, and he found them on an old computer desk that he had 30 years ago. Someone dumped there, it's some real old-fashioned, but the screws were perfect fit. They still look good. I mean, it looks probably better than the original screws. Australia's a wonderful place, and people say the desert, it is green as flowers everywhere. If you've got hay fever, good luck. Make sure you take lots of Zyrtec. I mean, it is actually wonderful out there. There's water holes. It's a beautiful place. I want to do some more tracks, the Victorian, New South Wales tracks.
Yeah, they're cool.
I want to do something a little bit harder, but I want to do some of those.
A lot of clay.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll take a different vehicle. I'll take something a bit more, probably fuel related, a bit more rugged, and something.
Well, you do hybrid.
Or this one that I've got now is a sort of a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid. No, I'll probably do something more like a cruiser, a diesel.
Okay, so we're going to go. We're done with the EVs for a bit.
Well, Trine's Land Cruiser is probably going to be punished.
Love it. It's time for come out of the garage. Sounds like the BYD product itself is held up very well. It's what's bolted to it.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
Look, the Atto was a good challenge. We still got those couple of Attos in the business that are doing very well. The Seal is to one of the brokers, to the young guy I mentioned earlier that applied for the job from Bosnia. He is driving the Seal, and it's a great car. And this one here has held up really well. It's a good product. There's no doubt people have overlooked the quality of the product. Something I found out the other day, when someone was telling me, there's a guy at Ford I met here in Melbourne, I know he's a family member. He was telling me that when people went to China to build their cars, like, BMW or Mercedes, can we build your cars in your country? Yes, you can, but you share all your intellect on your vehicles.
Interesting. Yep.
That's part of the deal. So you'll build cheaper cars, you'll make more money, but you need shared intellect. So the Chinese have actually picked up all this hundreds and hundreds of years from every manufacturer about cars.
Interesting.
And they've used it now, and that's why they've just bounced up so fast. So
I was about to say everything's Chinese now.
Well, these vehicles would... Look, this ute that I have would compete with the Lexus hands down.
You reckon?
Hands down. Will drive better.
Okay.
And I have a Lexus. I have a Lexus full drive, and this Shark drives as good, if not better.
Okay.
I have great confidence in the car. It's done some heavy work. I've taken it through streams and little rivers.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's it like through water?
Yeah, it's actually fantastic.
It's great that you've got this whole new purpose, like post-Interlink. Like, I love it. Like, you know.
Well, this is just look. I'm doing these journeys. I'm not doing nothing. I'm still. I'm still working.
Well, I know you're still working. We haven't even got to your business interests.
You know,
I don't know if we'll get there today, but like.
Well, IT is fantastic. I still, control all my banking. I control all my properties. I'm watching them. I'm dealing with them. Talking to agents. It's all happening. It's fine. You wouldn't even know where I am. People don't even know where I am.
What's your view on the real estate landscape of Australia at the moment? You have your specialty, I get that.
Repeat that one more time.
What is your view on the Australian real estate sector at the moment, being residential, commercial, industrial? What's your view on it at the moment?
I think it's always going to grow.
Yep.
It's going to keep growing with a lot of influx of people coming in.
Yep.
And that's just going to keep driving it up.
Okay.
I am more specialised in around WA,
Correct.
Perth particular, where I've my roots are. But I do know the Sydney and Melbourne markets, and Brisbane not as much. But it's never going to stop growing.
Okay.
Because people are coming in. We're a young country. We're a very, very young country compared to others. We're going to continue to grow. Our population will double and triple. We've got the potential for it. We've got the land for it. I looked across the Nullarbor. My first thought across the Nullarbor, gee, if I could buy all that land across there, I'd buy it. What a great place to set up cities and people. You've got water. You've got great weather.
Yeah,
water's underground.
Yeah, good point.
You've got solar. You've got power. You've got everything. Things have changed. And
the technology's there.
And even going through the middle of the desert, there's just people can live out there. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as people think of the Sahara. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, okay.
There's greenery, there's water, there's sun, there's whatever you want. Oh, there's no power, well, put a solar system in. There's no water, drill a hole and take the artesian water out. There's heaps of opportunity out there. Australia will have an enormous growth at some point. It's growing slowly, but we could take a lot of people here. We could take 100 million people. You wouldn't even know they're in the country.
Good point. So what I'm taking away from today is back yourself, get out of your own way and get out and explore and learn and listen and be present and be able to properly digest what people are talking about and come up with your own ideas.
Yep. Can I go back to the property side?
Of course you can.
I'm
deliberately asking you this.
My takeaway...
I love talking to you about property.
My takeaway on property is, goodness gracious, I probably shouldn't say it publicly, goodness gracious, Western Australia is the best place of all right now.
Why?
The beaches are beaches.
I know.
And a good example, north of WA, all the way through the NT, all the way through Queensland when I travel, I could not swim at any one of the beaches without being eaten or, considered the risks of crocodiles, sharks and stingers.
Yep.
Shocking. And then, New South Wales, Victoria, then Adelaide have got some nice places, but WA's got the weather.
Oh, it always has. Believe it or not, it's been 10 years since I've been there, sir, since I've lived there.
Yeah.
I get that. It's just WA that's a different...
It's been forgotten, which I don't want people to influx, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It always happens. But it's a transient workforce.
So the best coastline is from Perth right down to beyond Busselton, maybe close to Albany.
Yep.
The whole coastline.
Esperance
there.
is pretty
amazing. Even Esperance is all good. Can get a bit cloudy in that lower part, but look, generally the whole area is magnificent and it's underrated or not even considered.
Well, I know you put your money where your mouth is when it comes to WA real estate.
Yep.
You definitely have an eye for doing what you do. Do you feel, I mean, there's always an element when you're starting a business, but fake it before you make it. But do you feel that there's too much of that fronting sort of flashy car, flashy suit, where it needs to be more personal, it needs to be more engaging? And that's maybe some of the lost art that we've lost today in a lot of the sales deals. Like people are very flashy, they're very this, they're very that.
I think that in a business, if you're providing a service, you need to wear a suit and tie. Sorry, I think that's mandatory. Okay. But if you're going out to an industrial factory, you're going to look like a real dick. I think you need to take the tie off and maybe throw the jacket off or leave the jacket on. But I think that your dress standard is number one. Number one. You know, I see people in the insurance industry nowadays wearing jeans and T-shirts. I think, you dick. You're providing a professional service and you don't look professional.
That's very true, actually. I could probably learn a few things about that because...
it's unacceptable. It's just you need to dress for the occasion. Dress, you know the old saying, you dress for who you want to, the job that you want. You know what I mean? That's simple as that. And you want to be a professional, you need to dress well. I saw over the years, and one of the key success points for me was my dress standard, that I was very, very focused on getting lots of ties. And I've actually kept my tie collection. I probably have about 2,000 ties.
I do not know this.
Yeah, and I've got a big collection, and I've kept them all just for... They're actually from ties that are skinny as a piece of leather to a tie that's about, 10 inches wide, then ties that have got, cartoons on it, to naked women, to dogs, to you name it. I've got them all. And I remember a client ringing me a few years ago. Their sons were going to a graduation, twins. And he said, my boys need some ties. They don't know what. Can you give them a couple of your ties? So they came over and I said, look, what do you want? We want something to stand out. I said, got it for you. Want something different? I said, I got that for you too. So, they went to the graduation with, I think one had a woman with little dogs drinking off lots of her nipples opposite to the wolf feeding the babies. And another one was a naked woman statue with a nice set of boobs, etc. But these ties were fantastic because I'd pull up, but they're all quality ties.
Yeah, but it's a conversation starter. It's a icebreaker.
People used to call the office, all my clients, and they'd say to my receptionist, "What ties are you wearing today?" That was my trademark. My dress standard was, I was focused on creating an image for myself that I was a professional.
And that image as you as a professional is one of the key foundations to your success?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
People want to deal with professional. You've got to remember, Tavis, people are giving me hundreds of millions of dollars of their assets to hold in my hands to protect.
That is true.
Hundreds of millions. You're not talking about, you're talking about their whole livelihood.
Correct.
On their net. So I had to be that part, not just to the talk and the walk, but I had to produce. But you've got to have the image for it too. You have to have the image. You've got to build up that confidence. But there again, I go back to the point, I wasn't spinning them a yarn to make them think I was confident. I was actually assessing, can I deal with this customer? Can I give them what they need? Back to those 3 core points again. If they didn't, I was unable to provide that service, I'd walk away. Irrespective, I'd make a lot of money. I didn't want the money. I didn't want to let them down.
Without, again, going into names, have you ever broken those core values, taken a client on because you needed the deal, you needed the money, knowing that it's probably going to go south, and it did go south?
Never.
Okay.
I would have taken on clients without those cores when I didn't understand those 3 core items.
Okay. So that was learnt behaviour, your 3 core values.
Once I've learnt those 3 core, I won't do it otherwise. I won't take it. Even till now, even if they said, we'll give you $1 million to do the job, not interested. It's going to go south. It's going to go off. There's no point. I'm not going to be able to provide what they need. I'm not the person for that job. You've got to be honest with yourself.
When you identify that this company, this client doesn't fit within these core values that you have, Is it the behaviour of the managing director? Is it the way that the staff relates to that managing director? Is it the way the company's run? Or is it just a general feel when you walk through the door?
It's probably just a general feel, I would think. Look, it depends upon the personality of the individual. I've got to make sure that the client's going to be a fit for us and us a fit for them. We've got to be able to communicate. Wanting to serve them is about, can we communicate openly, honestly, without, rubbish and abuse and carry on. So I've got to share one example.
Share as many stories as you want.
I did turn one client away.
Oh, shit.
I've got to share this. He, really wealthy real estate guy.
Okay.
And he organised an appointment for me to see him at 12 midday. Okay. I went out to his office, and his office was an old building in one of the suburbs, Subiaco of Perth. And it was a 42-degree day. It was hot as.
Okay.
Anyway, I went in there, and he wasn't there on time, and I'm normally 10 minutes early, so I'm waiting. And they put me onto this lean-to on the side of the house that had no air conditioning.
That's nice of them.
So it was really hot. I'm sitting in this reception chair, literally beating, water just pouring off me. No glass of water. No, I thought, oh, whatever. I waited. He turned up an hour late.
What the fuck?
So I thought,
you're pissed off.
I thought, I'll give him the courtesy. I sat down, and he started dictating to me about what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. So I was analysing him. This is probably when my core values started to come into play.
Yep.
I looked at him, I thought, fuck, I don't want to do your business at all. Anyway, I just said to him, look, I'll get back to you. We'll have a chat. Thank you for your time. I took away some notes. And I walked out thinking, I'll never do business with this guy. I got back to the office. He called me first because I actually put the negative up. So like the resistance up on him. He rang me up. He said, I just want you to know that I'm not going to give you my business. And I said, that's great. I said, personally, I don't want your business. I said, you're not a fit for me. The way you carry on is unacceptable. I'm sitting out in the 42 degrees, not even a glass of water, and you turn up an hour late. I said, I can't do business with someone like you. He said, well, I don't like you don't like me, we've agreed on that, that's fine. Click. Great. 10 minutes later, he calls me back. He said, okay, look, we've established you don't like me and I don't like you. He said, but I like the core of your service level. So we're going to come to an arrangement. I'll appoint someone in my office. You'll appoint someone in your office. We will never meet, but our businesses will do business together. And we did for 10 years.
Fuck off.
True story.
Fuck off.
I just couldn't believe it. So we never spoke. We knew that you're a dick. He didn't like me. I didn't like him. But our companies did. Now, unfortunately,
did he deliberately fucking leave you there for an hour?
What? Say again?
Did he deliberately leave you there for an hour?
I have no idea, but not even a call to say I'm on my way. I'll be there 10 minutes late.
It sounds very deliberate.
Anyway, but beside the point, he ended up actually dying, unfortunately, and that's why we ended up losing his business at the time. But what a great story. So I identified he was a dick, and I told him straight up, without saying those words, I said, I can't do business with you, period. He didn't like it because he saw that I wasn't just going to do what he wanted me to do. I said, I just can't do I'll tell you what you need from your risk perspective. That's my job. I'm not going to go away and I'm the specialist. I'm the doctor. We're not going to cut the arm off. We need to investigate. Can we save the arm first?
Prevention is better than cure.
Yep. So he didn't take that respect or that advice. So I thought, for me, you're not going to tell me what to do in my job. But anyway, there you go, situation. It was fantastic. His senior person and my senior person hooked up, worked together, happy days, big account, fantastic. That I learnt a lot, but what I've learnt is not to deal with an individual that's not a fit. Cannot, no point. It's not about money. So you could say to me, Lou, I want you to take on my insurance, I'll give you $1 million a month. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Do you think a lot of people don't develop business development skills, rapport with a client, and basically get fixated on one point of income, whether that point of income is good for the business or not? As in, like, they go, I cannot afford to sack this client, even though I want to. But have the faith, the blind faith to go, if I sack them, I'm making room for someone else to come in.
It happens a lot. And let me share something with you.
I'd love that.
I have brokers, even friends in business. A client leaves. Client decides he's leaving. He was a fucking arsehole anyway. Thank God he left. And I say to him, yeah, but if he had renewed his insurance, he wouldn't have been an arsehole, correct? They only become arseholes and pricks because they've decided to leave you.
Because you then tolerate them and then...
Because the reason you're saying this, I say to people, the reason you're saying he's an arsehole, he's a prick, I never wanted him anyway, because you're trying to justify your loss. You're trying to justify that you've effed up. You've not provided them with what they need. You've failed. They haven't failed. They've just gone out to get something else. You have failed to provide them the service they need. So when a client leaves you, it's actually an awakening time. You should say to yourself, why have they left? I have not been able, but natural instinct, humans will shift the blame to, he was a fucking dickhead anyway. I hear that so many times, and I love correcting people very quickly. If you had paid the renewal, you would have continued? Oh yeah, I suppose. Well then, analyse what you just said.
And especially they say that and then the client comes back and then they're all good.
I know, it's really funny. It's actually funny.
I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to see us.
Not really. I'm just going to drive. Thank you.
Thank you very much.